So, in the last couple of months, I've been on different shows and we've been talking about relationships and how, is there the perfect kind of relationship? Is there the one for you out there? Is there somebody, a kind of person that you're meant to be looking out for that will give you everything, like we say, your one and only, your all in all, your knight in shining armor, or damsel in distress, you know? We're going to do a series and we're going to be talking about relationships. And I hope that I'm able to share some personal experiences. I also hope that I'm also going to be able to share some experiences that I've heard from certain people and how it has either marred or made them. Because you know the truth, the one most important relationship in your entire life will be your emotional relationships, romantic relationships, I mean. So whether your spouse, whether your boyfriend or girlfriend, or those kind of romantic relationships, if you choose wrongly, it can break you completely. But if you also choose wisely, it can help you become the best version of yourself. Which one would you choose? Join us on this journey as we talk a little bit about relationships, where I share some of my stories. My name is Adiola Kingsley James, and have a wonderful time with us. I think generally, I mean, whether man or woman, like I said, it's important to choose right for you. And when I say choose right, I don't personally believe that there is the one that was brought down from heaven for me. And until I find him, I cannot find peace. Or until I find her, I cannot find peace. But there are certain things that we can then align on that will make us know whether we're compatible or not. Now, the first thing you want to really, 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 really look at is where that person has come from. What is their nature and what is their nurture? We're talking culture, we're talking how they were cultivated, because every human being is like a seed. That's the way I look at it. And that seed is put into a ground, and words are spoken onto that seed. Water is poured onto that seed. It's cultivated in a particular way for either it to thrive or for it to die. Because if people put a seed in the soil and it's not watered, right, and it's not cared for, and the weeds come out, the weeds can be more than what the seed or the tree or the fruit can handle. And what then happens? It swallows it up. It's the same thing with human beings. If you are somebody who is who's come from a loving family, there was a lot of love, there was a lot of connection, there was a lot of touch, there was a lot of relationship, there's a lot of memories of spending time together, having breakfast together, having lunch together, having dinner together, going out traveling together. And then you meet somebody who has come from a broken home. Father, mother, terrible breakage. The children really suffered it. And then they've gone from home to home, finding how to exist. Chances are that person will never understand what it means to be loved. Is you being able to say that this person, where has he come from? How did he grow? What are his roots? Or what are her roots? If they've come from a broken family and they haven't been through any kind of therapy or gone through any kind of counseling and gotten better as a human being and started to understand from the other angle, they will never understand what it feels like. I'll give you a personal example. It's the same thing that happened in my house. I've come from a home where we used to have lunch together, have dinner together, spend time together. I wouldn't also say that we were so tight, but there was a lot of family. There was a lot of spending time together. We would call each other. We spent a lot of time together. But then I married somebody who's come from a broken home. And so not just that, his father then remarried. They have a different family and a different dynamism, okay? Now, sometimes when I'm calling my sisters or we're in each other's faces, my husband doesn't understand what it means. He doesn't, because he didn't have that upbringing. He didn't grow up in that space. Now, can he learn it? Yes, he can. If only he's willing and able. However, it is not something that will happen automatically. So is there a challenge with could there be a challenge with choosing the wrong person? Just this thing that I've mentioned might seem, oh, but it's not that much of a big deal. It can break a marriage. Some people are like, oh, you pressed your toothpaste from the middle. Some people press it from the beginning of the tube or from the bottom of the tube. And just because of that, people have broken up. Pull up the toilet seat. No, sit, the men pee. So many little things like that. And it seems little. My husband is sometimes, I can't say that I'm the neatest person on earth, but I'm not even trying to be. But there's some people who have that challenge. Everywhere has to be set up a particular way. It has to be put in particular lines. That's who I married. So you know what? For him not to go crazy, he starts to pick up after me. Otherwise, what's going to happen? So it's finding those and having those conversations from the beginning. There's plenty of conversations we need to have from the beginning. But first of all, when you're dating, and that's why it's so good to date. And it's good, the dating shouldn't just be we're going to the cinema or we're going to eat every time. The dating should be a part where we have certain conversations. We're talking financials, we're talking intimacy, we're talking sex, we're talking kids, we're talking the things that we want, we're talking our desires, we're talking some of our fantasies. Because sometimes you want to share those fantasies as well, so that the man or the woman knows whether this is something that I'm able to give this woman as a reality. And not to say that all your fantasies will come true. However, it's very important that you share some of them. Now, will some people think of you and say, oh my goodness, this person is a this or that? Possible. But at least they know who you are. So can the person you end up with make or break you? Absolutely. Because if these conversations and many more are not had from the beginning, there's going to be a huge problem. And the chances of that marriage in not surviving is high. How do you know the right person for you? It starts with your conversations, right? What are your values? What are the things that are important to you? What is your belief system? Because that is like almost the essence of anybody. For some people, you hear, oh, honesty, integrity is big for me. For some people, it's family. For some people, it's work. For some people, it's being able to provide for my family. Now, if you had that kind of conversation and we're able to share the values that we both have, we're able to look at the mission that we have in life. Because your partners also can either help you get to that mission or mess the mission up. Your partners it's not just with business, but the people you spend time with. So what are the mission? What do you think your mission on earth is? Maybe you have a purpose on earth. What is it? What is that purpose? What is your purpose on earth? If one of you is to be killing people, that's your purpose. And the other person is to be mending people. Should you be with a person that is killing people? I don't think so. And that's just me using a very, a blanket conversation or statement to say, oh, there's this and there's that. If our values don't align, the vision that we have for our family or our lives don't align. The mission, and it's not just an organization that should go through this. I think every human being and every relationship should sit down and have this conversation and see how they align. Now, if you do not align, it doesn't mean that the person is a bad person or a bad match for you. It just means that the person is not the right person for you at that time. Now, you might already be in love with the person. You might want to. That's why you should have these conversations in the beginning before you start to throw in emotions and start to throw in intimacy, because it can actually mess you up. When you go on your first couple of dates, those are the conversations you start to have from the first couple of dates. Oh, I like you. Oh, fantastic. Let's go on a date. When you sit down, don't go to a restaurant that is so loud and all you people are doing are eating once again. Because right now, everybody's date is either movies or going to the park or going to eat. Everything has food surrounded in it, or music, or drinks, or hanging out with friends. All those things I think will come. But what about having those conversations that are connected to your soul, right? What do you think about a woman Who is a wife? Who is a mother? Who is a husband? Who is a father? Who is a man? Just these three questions that they've thrown out there. Some people think that a woman, her only job is to be in the kitchen. Like our president said, the other room. And this woman is thinking, I'm a doctor. I've studied up to my doctorate degree, and I'm with a man who thinks that I shouldn't work. It's in this dating stage that you find that out. You don't wait till you're married for him to then say, oh no, you're not working. And you'll be like, what? You didn't tell me. Well, you didn't ask. So this is the I think it's at that beginning of a relationship that you sit down and ask this question, because I'm a firm believer that two people cannot work together except they agree. I also made this mistake as well, and I'm not even going to lie. I didn't know the questions to ask when I was going to get married. When I was dating, I didn't know the questions to ask. It was all about, just us spending time with each other and maybe asking a few questions, knowing ourselves, but talking financials, some things we even talked about that I said yes to. I didn't even think about it properly before I said yes to them. I didn't. I said yes to them thinking it will change. And that's another mistake we make. We listen to people and say, don't worry, just let's get into it first. And then later in the relationship, we will change the other person. It doesn't happen that way. And most people will not change except they want to. So I made huge mistakes as well, but I didn't know better. So would I call them mistakes? I still will call them mistakes, because ignorance is not an excuse. There's a lot of information out there. You need to search for the information and apply it to yourself to help you choose right for you. Too many marriages these days are going through a lot of turmoil. And it doesn't mean that, because we align, we will not have challenges. We will. But because we have more things together than separate, it'll be easier for us to have conversations. In our dating phase, we'll ask questions about therapy. Do you believe in therapy? Do you believe in counseling? Should we have one that stays with us whenever we need some clarity on something? Now, if you're with a man who says therapy, that's complete bollocks. Like I am, right? I'm with a man who doesn't believe in therapy, and I'm a therapist. I'm with a man who doesn't believe in therapy, and I am a therapist. And I'm not only a therapist, I'm a hypnotherapist on top of it. So imagine me living with somebody who thinks what I'm doing is complete bollocks and doesn't believe in it, right? But that's what I do as a profession. Now, of course, because I've gotten over so many things and I've learned so many things, I can live with anybody now. But imagine if I hadn't become a better version of myself, I most likely won't be with the man that I'm with right now. Because I would have said, you know what, you don't even believe in what I do, right? And it would have been a huge mess. So avoid some of the challenges that we didn't know about and get help. You might not be able to do this thing by yourself. I always say, get help, okay? So choosing for yourself, there's so many questions you need to ask. Get a counselor that can help you know these questions so that you can avoid so many mistakes in future. Okay, so I think chemistry, and I'm going to give you this, my own interpretation. I think chemistry is what we feel when we see each other. Oh, that guy is hot. Oh, that baby's hot. Oh, look at her. Look at her lips. Look at her hips. That's, oh, I really look at her skin. Her hair is beautiful. His chest is wonderful, and that immediate spark that we get when they say, oh, it's love at first sight. For me, that's what I'll call chemistry, but connection is different. Connection is that there's something about you. And I've met people like that. I just look into their eyes and there's something about them that I connect with. And it's now that I realize that maybe it's my pain connecting with their pain. Yes, because that happens a lot, right? And we don't know it. And so connection is from that deeper place where, there's something, so I will use pain. There's a pain that I have or a trauma that I have that is bonding me with you as well. And most likely is also bonding me to the trauma that you have. That could be a connection that could either go, awry, or can be a positive one if you guys work through it together. So for me, connection is deeper. We're able to speak our truths. We're able to come correct. We're able to be authentic with each other. We're able to be each other's safe spaces. we're able to say, look, this is what you did, this thing you just did is complete nonsense. And the other person is not feeling bad because they know that I got them and they got me too. So for me, that's connection. Chemistry is just the way you look, and oh, I'm starting to imagine all kinds of things in my head about the things that we can possibly do just because I see you a particular way. Chemistry doesn't last long, but connection does. So I think everybody has both sides, logical and emotional sides. But and which is the masculine and the feminine side. Everybody has it. Just like I say that we all have different animals in us. The one you feed is the one that grows. I used to be a masculine woman. And if I say, I would say I'm recovered from it, but not 100%. But I've seen a lot of masculine women and a lot of feminine men as well. Once again, is which one grows. I've met emotional men, very emotional men. And I've met men who are completely logical and don't think about anything else but logic. How do we find an answer to this right now? So if we're dealing with a masculine man and a feminine woman, that's probably what I'll be talking about today. And the masculine man is the man who is thinking, how can we solve this problem? What is the problem? Who do we need right now? Let's just go. And then the woman is saying, no, I just want you to listen to me. I'm not actually really looking for a solution to the problem. I just want oohs and ahs. Does that happen to you? Because it used to happen to me. I just want somebody to say, hey, yeah. Or they'll say, sorry. Just pat me on the back and just hold space for me. So if you're a logical man, if you're a masculine man, your feminine woman doesn't want a solution all the time. She just wants a pat on the back. And maybe you want to ask, now what do you want from this conversation after we've had it? Because sometimes even us as women, we don't even know. We think, oh, this is what we want. But then you now be like, but he didn't even say sorry. Meanwhile, you were asking for a solution. So I think that, men just need to understand that feminine women think very differently. And because we're emotional beings, we're more about the feeling or how he made me feel, what he said, how it made me feel. It's always about the feelings, what she said, the way she looked at me, I felt. It's always about how the woman feels. So maybe you want to ask from the beginning, what do you want me to say to you or do to you when we're done with this conversation? And let her tell you, maybe, right? So she can say, I actually just want to hug when we're done. Or I want you to give me a possible solution. And then you're able to work off that so that you know your partner better. And for women as well, you also want to say it up front that, look, I want to share something with you, but all I just want is a hug after I've shared it with you. I'm not asking, maybe later you can think of a solution and give it to me. But right now, I'm not looking for a solution. I'm looking for a hug. Now, I personally think that, we all need to be upfront with the things that we want as human beings, right? When you're speaking to somebody, you want to have an intention. You want to have an end goal in that conversation. What do you want that person to do? What do you want that person to say? And I'll give you an example. So a woman dresses up and says to a man, how do I look? Do you like the way I look? And the man looks and says, no, I don't. And it shatters the woman. Now, that's not what she wanted to hear. And I used to be like that. So trust me, I'm talking from experience. And you're like, what? And you're feeling yourself, oh, you are dressed up. You're like, what? Ha! God made me double today. God gave me an extra, and that's my daughter laughing in the background. God gave me an extra layer of fineness. And then you stand in front of your man and you're saying, how do I look? Do I look nice? And the man says, no, I don't like your skits. Or I don't like that hair. You're going to be deflated. So I'm going to teach you something today. Rather than asking, do you like the way I look? Ask this question. Tell me 3 things you like about the way I look. Now, he or she is forced to look for 3 things they like. Now, because as human beings, we're so used to seeing the things we don't like first. We don't actually look for the things that we like first. And this is not just with your parents. Anything, if you send a document to somebody, you send a video to somebody, you send them something to look at. The the question you should ask them, because you want the benefits, you want the advantages, you want them to say nice things. You have to skew them to say nice things. So it will be, tell me 3 things you like about the way I look. And then he looks at you and he says, oh, I like your shoes. Okay. I like your glasses. Okay. I like your, I like your dress. Okay. Now, if you really want to know whether there's anything you can change, you can then ask, give me 2 things you think that I can do better to make my look go to the next level. And guess what? They'll then say, oh, I think maybe if you pack your hair on one side, ooh, it will look nice. Now, everything that they're saying is positive. Nothing is negative, right? That's because you have guided them into that space. And so it's the same way in our conversations as well. It has to be that most of the times we're confronting people, we're putting their back up against the wall and saying, oh, you did this, you always do this, you never do this. And it's not true. And once you say that to any human being, whether a man or a woman, their back is going to be against the wall immediately. And they're going to be looking for how to defend themselves. So they're not even listening to you anymore. They're just looking for an answer in their head on how to answer you, to say, no, I don't always do this. And that conversation is definitely going downhill. So and this is for both man and woman, because once again, we have both sides, okay? So I would personally say, when we're communicating, whether logic or emotion, we should be upfront with what we want at the end of it. So you can even start off a conversation by saying, look, what I want to say to you right now, at the end of this conversation, is going to make us closer, it's going to make us friendlier, and it will make us know each other better. Do you agree to it? And allow the person to say yes or no. And then you then go straight into telling the person what you love about the person. Yes? What I love about you is, what I admire about you is, what I respect about you is, before you then say, oh, I need your support in something. Now, can you see, none of it was blameful, none of it is about the other person, it's all about you, right? So communicating is first we need to understand, yes, okay, so men are very this way, women are very this way. However, women now have become very masculine. So the woman is also very logical and also looking for solutions. So imagine a logical person and a logical person is going to be war all the time. Nobody's going to bend down for the next person to say, okay, I hear you, or I agree, or all of that. And I used to be like that. I used to be so, once you tell me a particular thing, and immediately my back is up against the wall and I'm looking for how to defend myself, because I was very logical as well. Emotions I threw to the curb because I didn't feel like, I was in a safe enough space to be emotional and to be vulnerable, until I changed all of that. So yeah, that's what I think. We're in an era where, women are beginning to do a lot of stuff. And should I say, now raising families. You have a lot of single mothers, and you have even women in relationships or in marriages that are, should I call, the breadwinners, as we used to call the men. And so you find out that, women are going to work, women are getting positions where only men used to get positions. Women are MDs of banks, they're engineers, they're surgeons, they're doing so many things. And so because of that, some men have become a bit docile, right? Some, to be honest, have gone through a rough patch, financially. Maybe some people have lost their jobs. Now, I also know that, the way we were trained. When I was a lot younger, we'll be in the kitchen and the boys are playing or watching television, but the girls are the ones doing the work. You see your mother having to do so many things, being so many things in the home, whilst your father all he thinks about is just bringing the money home and providing shelter, and then every other thing the child needs emotionally and for stability is the mother that provides or does it. Now, I guess back in the days, more women were more at home than now. Because you see, every morning now, as my husband is getting ready to go to work, I'm getting ready to go to work. And sometimes we're coming back almost at the same time. Sometimes we're not even coming home for days back to back, or I go for a couple of days, come back. My husband then goes for a couple of days, come back. So we're doing almost the same kind of time out of the house, all in the pursuit of the way, you know. For some people, it's hustle. I don't see it as hustle. I just see it as a mission that I'm on earth and a calling, right? But I used to see it as a hustle, and as a recovered masculine woman, I found myself also, because I was at some point I became the oldest. But even before then, I used to do the things that the oldest would do. I would take care of everybody, you know. So decisions need to be made. I'm the one that they're calling to ask, what do you think we should do? And so I then didn't also get married till I was 34, right? Which in Nigeria is like you're ancient of days. So you then have that, you then marry somebody who is an absolute masculine man, who then says, no, I call the shots. I found it very, very difficult, because I was used to being the one who the buck stops on my plate, if you get what I mean. And so it's what I say that eventually happens. And then now I'm with a absolutely masculine man who says it's what he says that happens. Now, a lot of women have found themselves in this place, you know. I remember listening to somebody who said submission is not when is for a woman, is not when you have, is when you have money and you say you want to travel and the man says you cannot go. That's true submission. Not when you don't have money and you're asking your husband for money, he says he's not giving it to you. That's not submission, that's bullying or wickedness. But true submission is that I have my own money, I'm about to pay for my ticket, and my husband says, you're not going anywhere, sit down. And I sit down. That's submission. Well, I also, you know, kind of think that, you know, there's a submitting from both parts. I don't think it's just one person that is meant to submit. So women have found, a lot of women have had to wear the pants and become masculine. And I really feel sorry for them, to be honest. You know, I go out and I ask women, you know, tell me about yourself. And the first thing they say is, I'm a strong woman. And I smile. And then my second question to them is, if you had the opportunity to be strong or soft, which one would you rather be? And every woman that I have spoken to has said soft. Now, of course, strength is needed, and strength is important, because I think every woman is strong. I actually think that women are actually more emotionally balanced and stronger than men. But that's also because of the way we have been trained, you know, or just the strength that God has given us as women, right? Or feminine women. Let me put it that way again, okay? Because there's some masculine women that may not have that ability. So when it comes to that, you know, and how we communicate. In my last video, I talked about how I think is the most effective way to communicate is to state our intentions from the beginning to whoever we're communicating with. Don't leave it to chance for them to decide how they want it to go. You should skew the conversation based on how you want it to end, hoping that it gets there. And so you have that conversation leading you there, i.e., tell me 3 things you like about my dress, not do you like what I'm wearing? And then he has the opportunity, or she has the opportunity, to say no. Now, back to us in the home. We still need to have those conversations, right? I think it's important that we have those conversations. I don't see anything wrong with a woman supporting a man financially. Just like I don't see a reason why a man cannot pick up a broom and sweep. Nobody's helping anybody. It's your home, so you should sweep. It's my home, so I should support financially. Otherwise, why am I going out, right? So I don't particularly believe that there's a big deal. But I think some men also kind of need to stand up to the plate and look at it and know that your role is not only to bring money home. There's so many other things. There's the emotional stability of your home. There's the physical stability of your home. There's the mental stability of your home. There's the spiritual stability of your home, which if you are meant to be the head of the home, you are meant to be the one that is guiding people to getting and being the best versions of themselves, including your wife. So yes, women have had to wear pants because the men have taken them off and tied wrappers, like in Nigeria. There are certain tribes where they tie wrapper in the morning and come out with their sticks and they are drinking ogogoro first thing in the morning, and then the woman is going to the farm and all of that. But I think if we both, as man and woman, agree on where our strengths are and where our weaknesses are, we're going to be able to live better together. If your strengths are financial, then you handle this. If my strength is looking after the kids, whether man or woman, then you handle it. I've met some men who are more motherly than women. I promise you. And I've met some women who also have strengths of being, a leader than the man. I think if we both sit in and have, remember those conversations from the beginning? Now, let's say we have missed it at the beginning and we're already in. The conversations still need to be had. I don't personally believe that a relationship is so bad that it cannot be worked on if both parties decide to work on it together. So it's okay if you want to be a masculine woman. Just, find that dynamic dance. And it's okay if you want to be a feminine man. Find that dynamic dance and see where both of you come together and ignite and shine. Personally, once again, I think that both parties, if able to provide financially, should do it together. I don't think it's a man's role to be the one to provide completely for the family, right? I think if you're able to work as a woman, you should also bring some support. Now, maybe the man can take the lion's share. And I'll give you some personal examples. There's certain things that happen in my house that we want to do. And at that point, my husband is like, I'm not able to manage it right now. I'll say, okay, I'll handle it. And then my husband says, I'll pay you back. And when it's time for payment, I tell him, let's split it into two. Maybe you pay me back only 60 or only 40. Because I say you're older than me. And I just use that as just, you're older than me. So you're going to take an extra 10% over me. And he will smile. And I'm sure that I definitely know he's shown gratitude over those things. I think it's too much pressure for the man to bring everything home. And then we still expect him to be so many other things in the home, right? I think if both of us can go out and do things together and come back home and are able to put a purse together for the entire home, then you find the man being able to do a few other things. Now he can free up some of his time that he would have used to go for certain meetings or certain businesses to spend time with you, his wife, or his kids. I think there has to be, once again, this dynamic dance, that you find, a rhythm that you find with your home that works. Sometimes it's even the woman that needs to be away for a bit because she has this new project and it's going to bring some new, opportunities into the family. Everybody then rallies around the woman to give her the support that she needs. Same thing for the man as well. I think men have really, really been, I think they've suffered a lot, from us to think of them as our ATM machines and just think, oh, just bring money. Now, the more we think of a man as an ATM machine, the more he's only going to show up as that for us. He's going to think that all I need to do is send money home or pump you with money or buy you gifts. He's not going to see the reason why he needs to be emotionally available. He's not going to see the reason why he needs to spend time with you and do certain things to create memories for you. He'll think, once I give you money and you people travel abroad, then you're having a good time, whether I'm there or not. But if you say to him that it's not about his money, and show him, because saying and showing are two different things. So if we're talking about, okay, it's not just about your money, your presence, your essence is also needed. The 5 minutes, and for me, it's quality over quantity. So it's not to say that the man also needs to be at home 4 hours of the day. If he can be, for sure. But there are men who are at home 4 hours of the day and they're not present. They're either on their phones or they're sleeping or watching TV from morning till night. They actually don't have any quality time with anybody. So it's them also using that opportunity to say, even if I spend 10 minutes with my child and 10 minutes with my wife, it's non-negotiable. You have my undivided attention. it's just me and you having this conversation. So at least the children even know that, okay, my dad spent 10 minutes with me, but that 10 minutes is solid, and they have memory of that 10 minutes every day, right? So I'm not saying quantity, I'm saying quality also, right? So if we stop seeing men as our ATM machines, as the ones that, we should always bring money for us, and treat them like human beings, and treat them like we need them also in our lives, then they start to show up as it less and less, right? And then women also bring the support. You're not consistently nagging him or shouting at him or insulting him and all those things. And then now when you say to him, see, your mates are doing XYZ, what about you? He then goes to go and want to do more, right? To try and prove to you, because now his life is tied to proving to you, his wife, that he's also capable like the other person. You're never going to see him at home, right? Never. So men, once again, you're not born to die for us, okay? At least that's what I told my husband one day, that they didn't give birth to you to die for us, because if you die for us, I will marry someone else, right? I want you to live, and also live a good life for yourself, irrespective of whether I'm in your life or not with the children, because you are meant to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You can't at the end of the day then now not be able to enjoy, because you are now consistently ill based on the pressure that you've put on yourself. And hopefully, fortunately, I'm not the kind of woman that says I must live in, or I must have this. If I really must have it, maybe I'm also able to get it for myself, rather than putting that pressure on someone else. So women, I think we need to back down a little bit and stop seeing the man as the ATM machine, and start to see the man as a human being who also has needs and desires. That's a very tough question, because if the man is not bringing anything to the table, he's not bringing finances, he's not bringing emotions, he's not bringing his presence, I'm not sure I'll even want to stay with such a person. And I can be grateful from a distance, to be honest. I think that, I know of someone, they're a couple, and the wife, gets a lot of jobs all over the world. And the husband said, you know what, carry on doing what you're doing. We will all go with you as a family. We'll travel everywhere together as a family. I will stay home and look after the children, right? Now, in that situation, the man is there. The woman comes back home. Maybe there's a nice hot plate of food on the table because he's made some food for her. She's gone out to work and he's home, okay? And then the children have done their homework. The place is neat, because they're very considerate of the fact that their mother has gone to work all day and is coming back to the warm plate of food. Yeah? Now, I think that that's the only way it can work, where we both deeply care about each other. We both deeply care about each other's well-being, right? Okay, daddy has gone to work, he's coming back, I'm home. Maybe I've come home 2 hours earlier. I can put something or make something or buy something that we can warm for my husband to eat when he comes back, because I care about him and I want him to come back and just relax, okay? And vice versa. Husband comes home earlier and 2 hours, 3 hours before the wife, even 1 hour, and they go into the kitchen and put something, or they buy food that they bring back home, and everybody sits down to eat. You put in your quota into the household. You're able to pick up a broom and sweep if the place is untidy. You're able to pick up after the children, or get the children to pick up after themselves. If you have house nannies like we have in Nigeria, then that's even better. You can afford it. You can get that's another arm of the support system. So I don't think anybody really should stay in a place where their partners bring nothing to the table. And that, it doesn't have to be financial, once again, right? Once again, like I said, I don't think the man is meant to bring all the money home. It doesn't have to be financial. I think it must be that you bring all of you, I bring all of me. And we're able to bring all of you and all of me and come together to make the marriage work and make the home run smoothly that benefits everybody, not just one party. Sometimes it used to irk me in the past when I'll come back home and my husband is sitting down in the parlor or in the living room watching TV, and he's not even asked me, "Oh, do you want something to eat?" But when I think I might have shared it with him once, and I found out that he'll call me if he comes back home later and say, "Oh, what do you want them to prepare for you?" And sometimes I'll say, "Oh, I'm good, I'm eating," or there's food, or he will tell them to make food for me. And I think that that's caring. He didn't know differently until I shared it, and vice versa. I'll call him also on my way home or when I'm home and say, "What do you want to be prepared for you?" Sometimes I'm not even home, but I know he's going to eat, and I want to be sure that he's fine. Same thing with the children. So if everybody brings their best version into the relationship, it's not going to matter who is financially providing or emotional. We're going to be doing it together, especially with the person who knows how to do it better, and then we will bring something to the table. I will never tell anybody to stay in a relationship where the other party is bringing nothing to the table. Then what am I with you for? I absolutely agree. I think that love will mean different things to different people. However, some people, for love is pain because their first connection with love was painful. I remember my first boyfriend. Well, I don't even know what I call my boyfriend, but the first boy I think I really, really liked. Just one day comes to my house, we're talking, he leaves, and 2 days after I hear he's abroad, and he didn't tell me he was going, and that I think that thing really, really hurt me. I mean, why didn't you give me the permission to say bye, type thing. And it did a number on me, and I'm sure a couple of other relationships after that. And so you can sit down and think of love as pain, but even if, imagine that warm feeling and that warm feeling that leads to a plethora of actions, right? Imagine seeing your daughter or your child for the first time when you give birth to them. That's love. Caring about other people, that's love. Knowing that if you hurt other people, you hurt yourself, that's love. And when you think of love, you think of God, right? And how God has loved us, that He's given us everything. So imagine now having that same kind of deep feeling for anybody else, that you can almost do anything for the person. Give of yourself, give of your emotions, give of your time, give of your money, give of your essence, give of your truth, and the other person is able to do the same to you. Imagine if this kind of love existed in our hearts consistently all over the world. There won't be any wars, there won't be any fights, there won't be any breakups, because we would love each other from a very deep place. Same thing with compassion. If I feel the pain that you feel, I wouldn't want to be the one that is causing that pain. And in a lot of relationships these days, you see people who don't know better and so cannot do better. And so they also don't know that it's not about what you're doing to the other person as much as it is what you're doing to yourself. If you promise to do something with somebody or be there for somebody and you're not, what has happened is you've actually not been there for yourself, because you've broken the promise to yourself. And that's why there are a lot of broken people out there today, and people who keep saying, "Oh, I don't trust people, I can never trust, because somebody has hurt me before." On top of it all, you have actually hurt yourself more, and you have betrayed yourself more, because what is stopping you from saying, "Okay, I made a mistake there, but I can do better"? And you get up and do better. I can love better. How can I be that love that I'm looking for?